Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And yesterday, I talked about a quote that I had seen on Instagram, and I really enjoyed doing that video. It was really fun. And so today, I thought that I would do the same thing. Last night, I was rolling through Instagram as I was watching The Amazing Race and Survivor, and I was just like rolling through, looking at squirrel boxes, which are boxes where squirrels live, and they have cameras inside of them. I love them. They make me so happy. And I was scrolling through rescue animals and stuff like that. And as I was scrolling through Instagram, it's like all these quotes are recommended to me that come up, you know? And I just love reading these quotes. And I reshare a lot of them on my Instagram. And a lot of them really, really inspire me or kind of put me in the right mindset. And I think that's the idea behind like a good quote, right? Is to kind of like remind us of something. Or, you know, I'm a person that's always loved quotes. My mother always loved quotes. You know, she would quote famous things that she had heard through the years. And so I've kind of like, that's something that I've adopted from my mother and I love. And so whenever I read a quote that like really just like hits hard, I like screenshot it and I keep it in my phone as a reminder, and you know, of like when I need to go back and look at stuff, as like, okay, I really need to think about this. And this one came up last night, and it is from Lewis Howes, H-O-W-E-S, or Howes, and he's like a motivational speaker. I think he was like an athlete and things like that. I actually like looked up his Instagram, but I'll put it underneath here as well, because it is one of his quotes. The quote is actually, I guess it's from Dr. Caroline Leaf. He has underneath here an at. And the quote is, and here it is right here. Well, I had my screen turned down earlier, but I don't have it turned down now. The quote is, we don't talk, and the reason why I'm sharing this one today is because we've talked a lot about recently, or I've talked a lot over here recently about setting boundaries and setting limits, removing toxicity, removing toxic people from your life, protecting your happiness, your health, your well-being, your peace and your serenity at any expense. And so I've talked a lot about that over here. And so when I read this quote, I was like, you know, this is a part of it that we don't really talk about. And the quote says, we don't talk enough about the intense sadness that comes when you begin to heal and lose people in your life who benefited from your brokenness. And, well, actually, since I messed up the last part, let me read it again. We don't talk enough about the intense sadness that comes when you begin to heal and lose people in your life who benefited from your brokenness. And I love this quote so much because it's something that I really experienced in my life. And it's something that my friend Tanya and I have talked a lot about. You know, it's like, I don't love this word, but I think the word, you know, the word doormat. I don't love that word, but I really was a doormat for a long time because I see as a doormat as somebody that allows people to walk over them, right? And I really did. I allowed people to walk over me. I didn't stand up for my belief systems, and I'm not just talking about online. I'm talking about in my personal life as well, right? For years and years and years. And I feel like before I got sober, drugs and alcohol gave me kind of this false sense of confidence, right? And then I got sober and I like lost that, and I became very fearful of things and fearful of people, fearful of losing people. You know, I got sober and like I didn't have relationships with, I would say 75 to 80% of the people in my life because they still actively used. And so I had to get rid of those relationships, many of them. And so when I got sober, I had very few friendships, and I started, you know, over years gaining them. But my first 2 years were really, really tough. I didn't, you know a lot of people in sobriety, and because of my social anxiety and things like that, it was hard for me to talk to people. And so I only met people here and there and whatever, right? And so it was really when I met my friend Tanya that I started kind of having a group of people that I hung out with and did things. And so, you know, for a long time, I never stood up for my belief systems or things that I believed in. People would say absolutely ignorant things to my face. People would like, I can remember, you know, back in the day when I was working, and you know, I used to talk about the boys club. I used to talk about that with my friend because there were very few men that worked in the treatment facility that I worked in, and it was like, I would say like 80% women, 20% men. And the men that I worked with, I would say several of them, not all of them, some of them were fantastic and just great role models, but a few of them I feel like have this need to overmasculate or overcompensate because they felt like they were working with so many women that were in positions that were higher than them. And I really saw this boys club come out. Well, when I would be, like getting coffee or whatever, and there would be the 3 or 4 guys, or I would, be on a break and those 3 or 4 guys would be sitting around talking, it was always like very kind of like, not, I wouldn't say offensive, but like borderline. And I can remember like some of them would, make jokes, to me, like gay jokes and whatever. And they'd be like, come on, it's funny. Like, we're laughing, right? And I'm thinking like, you're literally making fun of me to my face. Like, I don't think that's funny, right? But out of fear of what that relationship might look like in the work environment or whatever, I just kind of like laugh along. And I can remember there came the day when I was like, I'm not laughing about this anymore. This isn't funny to me. I'm standing up for what I feel like, right? Or what I believe in. And I can remember like the first time or two that I stood up to one of those guys, and like the comments back were like, what's the problem? Can't you take a joke? And I can remember this because my friend Tanya later said that when she started standing up for herself, all of a sudden people started saying, oh, why are you being a bitch? Why are you being rude about this? And she'd say, so people equate standing up for yourself as being a bitch, as being an ass, as not being able to take a joke, right? Like that's where they want to put you in those boxes. And I can remember she and I having that conversation because it's exactly how I felt back in the day. Well, since those early days that I've stood up for myself against gay jokes, I've stood up for myself because if I was going to sit there and continue to laugh, then I felt like I was complicit with it, right? And I didn't know what to do in that situation. I didn't have a gay role model that I could call up on the phone and say, what would you do in this situation? I didn't really have anybody like that. I didn't have a sponsor, at that time that I could call and say, what would you, I mean, I had a sponsor in recovery, but not a sponsor that I could call up and say, what would you do in a situation like this, as that had walked my steps, as a gay man? And I didn't know what to do. And so there was a deciding point for me when I just was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not engaging in this. And as soon as I said something, like they were done with me. Like it was like I had turned and I was on the other side, right? Like I was a traitor and I couldn't be trusted anymore, right? And they no longer would talk to me, and it was like, hey, how are you? And I knew that was the punishment, right? I don't really miss those friendships in all honesty, because I don't know that I think they were ever friendships to begin with. But since that day, that was when I really started like standing up for myself in certain situations with relationships in my life, when I would have a lot of toxicity or I'd have a lot of negativity around me. I was like, I don't want this anymore. And I've shared on here in that last 10 years, 5 to 10 years, but I would say specifically the last 5 years, I've really worked hard on removing toxicity and negativity from my life, right? The thing is that I've had a couple of those people like reach out to me and say to me things like, I really miss our friendship and whatever. I miss that friendship too. I miss it a lot, right? But this part where it talks about people that benefited from me being broken, part of me being broken was never standing up for myself. Part of me being broken was having 2-hour lunches with somebody, wasting 2 hours of my day, where all they do, every lunch that we have, every time we get together, is talk about themselves and never once ask me one question about themselves, right? Part of that taking advantage of me being broken, and I tolerate it, and I continue to allow it, right? When there are other people over here that are begging for my time, and I'm not giving it to them because I'm giving this one person 2 hours once a week of my time to go have a lunch with, and I'm like, and they're complaining about the same things. My life, it sucks so bad because of this, and it's like, you have a great life. You have no gratitude, right? So I started realigning my life, and I started only having people in my life that challenge me, that have my back, that I have their back, that I, bring positivity and laughter to my life. Yes, we cry. There's sadness as well. But they're not consistently toxic and negative in my life over time, right? And as soon as I did that, I was the bad person in those situations. It was always about me. It was always about what I had done, right? Oh, Peter's doing this and Peter's doing that, blah, blah, blah. When I was setting healthy boundaries for myself, because people can't handle it. They can't handle it when you set healthy boundaries for yourself. Many of these people I had conversations with and said, you want to know why I'm distancing myself from you? Yes, I would like to know. I'll tell you why, okay? Every conversation I have with you is a pity party where you feel sorry for yourself and you have a great life and you have no gratitude. And, you have it much better than the majority of the people that I know and myself, and you're complaining nonstop, never asking about anybody else's life, never asking about my life, never asking one thing. You don't even know one thing that's going on in my life, right? Well, I don't want to be that toxic person anymore. I'll never forget this one phone conversation I had with this person. I literally was having this conversation, and they said, I said, do you really want to know why I distanced myself from you? This was years ago. And they said, yeah, I want to know why. And I said, okay, well, the last 50 times that we've talked, every time that we talk, it's always about you. It's always about your life. It's always about how miserable you are and that you're not happy. I've offered you suggestions. You don't ever want to hear my suggestions. You basically just want a 2-hour vent session is what you want to do. You never ask me one thing about myself. You never check in on me. Or if you do check in on me, you say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and there's no follow through whatsoever. I said, and in all honesty, I feel like you're pretty selfish. I feel like it's all really always about you. And I said, and you know what? I don't hate you for that. That's how you live your life. But like the hardest part for me is that I have to surround myself with people that are grateful for the life they have. I said, you have an amazing life, but yet you have the ability to turn your amazing life into this bag of shit, and you're constantly complaining about things. And they were like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, several people have brought that to me, that I'm always really negative, and that they have been for years. I'm thinking, I mean, since I've known you, you've been this way, right? And they're like, yeah, several people have brought that to me. I'll never forget this phone call. And they're like, and I don't want to be that person anymore, and if you could really help me. And I'm like, I would absolutely 100% help you, because I've had to work on being a more grateful person. I've had to work on living in gratitude and positivity. And they're like, well, how did you do it? And I'm like, well, this is the things I did, and these are the things I did with my sponsor, and I worked on it in therapy and blah, 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 whatever. And I really want to be that person. Literally, I can remember the conversation because I looked at my phone, and less than 20 minutes later, after this whole conversation, they were like, and this happened to me, and I can't believe this. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I literally cannot do this anymore. Do I miss that friendship? Hell yeah, I miss that friendship. I miss that friendship for the moments that were so good, that were so funny. We had some hilarious moments, you know? We had some moments that I'll look back on that are some of the best moments of my entire life. But the majority of it, 85 to 90% of it, was toxic and negative. I don't need that in my life today. You know, I'm a chameleon to other people's energies. I really am. And I've really worked hard on it through the years and taken responsibility and been like, okay, even if I'm around this really negative person, like, I don't want to fall into that. But the reality is, you just have to know some truths about yourself. And one of those truths is, I fall very easy into that. So the truth for me is, I cannot be surrounded by people that are negative and toxic. It's one thing when you're coming to somebody and you're talking about real shit that's going on in your life in a real way, and you're asking for somebody to stand there. It's another thing when you're complaining about things like, you know, like, oh, it's so unfair that so-and-so got a purse and you didn't get this purse. I'm just making that up. But like, okay, that's not something we need to have 4 conversations about and you're still bitter about 6 months later, right? Like, that's bullshit. Like, you know, I have very real conversations, very real relationships with the people that are in my life today. Yeah, they complain about things. They have stuff that's going on. Yeah, from time to time we complain about frivolous things. I'll complain to my friend Tanya Jean as I'm done complaining. I'll be like, well, that was stupid to complain about. She'll do the same thing, and we laugh and we move on. But we don't carry it on for, you know, on and on and on. I have had several friendships in my life that when I looked at, I really realized these aren't really friendships at all, because they never call me up or want anything from me unless it benefits them. And that's not this back and forth relationship. I want relationships in my life today where I call somebody and they call me. I text somebody and they text me. I've got somebody's back and they've got my back. We laugh together. We challenge each other. Those are the friendships that I want today. Do I miss those friendships from the past? I do. You know, I miss a lot of those friendships, you know, and I've had to take a look at my own toxicity and negativity in the past, that maybe that pushed other people away that aren't in my life today. And I miss those friendships as well. But it doesn't mean I don't miss those people just because they're not in my life today. But what I realize today and everything that I've gone through is that it's not healthy to have some of those people in my life. It's not beneficial for me, you know, and I'm not somebody that like am gonna, life is precious. Time is precious. I'm not wasting it on just hearing somebody that is so constantly negative. That's like, have you ever had somebody call you and you look at the phone and you're like, oh God, I don't want to take this phone call. Like, I don't want to take this phone call because it's just going to be constant negativity, and this is my life is ridiculous, and this person's pissed me off. It's like, for an hour, and at the very end of it, they go, okay, well, I got to go now because I've got this to go to. Oh God, I have this dinner that I go to and I don't really want to go to it, but I have to. And then you're like, okay, bye. And then like, you don't hear from them for 2 weeks, and then they call you 2 weeks later and they're like, oh my God, can you talk? I need to talk. And you're like, I was done. Finally, I was like, no, I'm not having these conversations anymore. You're wasting my time. You're wasting my time. My time is precious. My life is precious. I want to surround myself with beauty, laughter, crying over things that mean something, right? I want meaningful moments in my life. I want small, meaningless moments of laughter. It's okay to complain about shit from time to time, but to be aware of your own complaining. I mean, you think I don't complain about something that I go to a store and they're out of something that I have? Sure, I'm going to complain about that. I don't get ate up with it for a week, right? Or feel like the whole world's against me because of it. I can't have that in my life. It doesn't mean I don't miss those people. I miss those people a lot. In fact, my missing those people, and this is probably the truest statement of this video, my missing those people is what led to me giving those people multiple chances. Because when they would reach out to me and they would say, I miss you, we don't talk anymore, I'd be like, I miss you too. And then it would bring up, it's for an alcoholic romancing the bottle. It's remembering only the good times. I would remember all those good times. I wouldn't remember all the backstabbing things they had done and talking behind my back and wasting my time. I wouldn't think about all of those things that they had done. And then, you know what? I'm back on the phone again, and they'll be like, I miss you. And I'm like, I miss you too. And I'm like, what's going on? Oh my God, my life. And here I am on the phone again. And I'm like, I walked right back into it again. I don't do that today. My circle is very, very small. I know what to expect from the people that are in my circle. I know what to expect, and they know what to expect from me. But that doesn't mean that I don't miss those people. But just because I miss somebody, you know, I remember in the show Roseanne years ago, Jackie said this to Becky when she broke up with Darlene's boyfriend's name was David. Well, I can't think of what Becky's husband's name was. Well, anyway, she says, just because you love somebody doesn't mean that you're supposed to be with them. And I think it's such a profound statement. Just because we love somebody doesn't mean that they're perfect for us in a romantic situation. Just because we care and love somebody doesn't mean that maybe it's meant for us to be friends. You know, I saw this on an episode of Oprah years and years and years ago. This whole episode was about saying goodbye to friendship, saying goodbye to things in your life, that it's okay to say goodbye to things. You don't have to be bitter and angry to say goodbye to things. You can just say goodbye to things because the reason has passed on, you know? It's no longer serving purpose in your life anymore. Doesn't mean you're frivolous with it. You know, and I know when I do these videos, people are like, oh, Peter sets boundaries so quickly. This is something that took me 30 years, 40 years to learn. I let people walk all over me. I gave people 100 chances. You know? I gave people more chances than they, to be honest with you, ever deserved. And every single time I have gone back, with the exception of one person in my life, they have proven it's the exact same thing. Well, maybe two people. That it's the exact same thing. Right? And I'm like, you haven't changed at all. And in fact, the reality is, when I look back, we had a few good times. But the majority of the friendship was people taking care of you. And you've now replaced that group with a new group of people that take care of you. And when that group is gone, there'll be a new group of people that are taking care of you emotionally, right? And you're not really giving back to any of that. Friendships and relationships should be, you know, back and forth. You should be getting and receiving, you know? But that doesn't mean that you're not going to miss those people. Just because you set a boundary with somebody, I can tell you this, that I would say the majority of the people that not like 95% of the people that I've had to set boundaries with, the most difficult thing about setting boundaries with them was that I loved those people. It wasn't that I disliked them or hated them. That was actually not the truth at all. It was that I loved them. They just were bringing negativity and toxicity into my life, and I couldn't have it anymore. It was seething into my life. I just couldn't have it. It was affecting me. It was affecting my mental state on a daily basis. It doesn't mean I don't miss those people. Of course we're going to miss those people, and I don't think we talk enough about that. I don't think we talk enough about the fact that one of the reasons why we stay in toxic relationships is because we're so afraid of the loss. We don't know who we are without those people in our lives. We don't know what life will look like without that person. So we stay in those relationships where we allow people to talk to us in shitty ways. I've allowed people to say the most horrendous shit to me. I've had friends of mine in the past that I consider friends. I look back now and think, well, maybe they weren't. They have said, some of the most hurtful things to me, to my face. Oh, I'm just joking. Oh, no, but like, seriously, you need to take a look at that. I'm like, what? Like, who says that to each other? It's not always what you say, it's the delivery. I'm talking mostly about the delivery. I don't allow people to speak to me that way in my life today, period. That's one of my biggest boundaries. If you think it's okay to speak to me in a shitty tone, you won't be in my life. That's one of the things I do not tolerate, period, in a story, you know? And so today I'm a different person. People don't like when people change. People are threatened by change. People are threatened when you go through change and you become a different person. You're somebody on the outside. They want you to be that same person. They want you to be that person they knew back then that they kept on a box on the shelf, and they knew who that person was. They want you to be that person. I'm not that person today. I'm a different person. I've gone through a lot of things, you know? I've reevaluated my life. I've looked at a lot of the messed up things I've done and the mistakes I've made. And I had to look at why I did those things and who I am today as a result of it and why I didn't want to be that person anymore. You know, I've gone through a lot of different relationships that have changed who I am. I've gone through life events. I've lost people in my life. I've had a lot of loss. I've had a lot of gain. I'm not who I was yesterday. I'm not who I was 10 years ago. People that want to stick with you will stick with you through that journey, and they'll accept that. And you'll accept that of them as well. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.